we're live. Welcome to Unverified. It's Milwaukee week, baby. We're ready to go. I wish it was 2 races, but it's 1 race, 250 miles. And folks, I'm not excited about this. There are 4 days of IndyCar on-track activity left in this year, if you don't count tests, which most people don't count tests. So, hi, Tony. It's Milwaukee week. I've got the bucket hat was calling to me like the Green Goblin mask. I was in Michigan all week. I've been in the healing lake water. My supercapacitor's ready to go. I'm going to pull that hybrid when we get to Milwaukee, and I'm going to be the biggest menace of all time. So I'll try to take that mantle away from you. Hello, Tony.
For somebody who's in Michigan in the sun, you don't look all that tan.
Well, I put on sunscreen. That's a new one for me, boys. That's a new one. It's a new David. It's a new David, but it's the same old David. Just a little less sunburn, baby.
Well, I think we say this every week. There's so much to talk about, and Kyle's here with us too. He's slightly under the weather, but we are heading to the second to last weekend. And really, if you think about it, we're going to be sitting here 2 weeks from tonight. The season's going to be over with. We're going to be coming back from Nashville, and we're going to look back and say, where the hell did this entire season go? Seems like yesterday, it was St. Pete, and we were down. You didn't go to St. Pete, did you? You stayed home. So, I'll
go to St. Pete next year.
I think between the three of us, we went to almost every race except for maybe 1 or 2. I can't think of. I think Portland off the top of my head, we didn't have anybody at. And
well, hang on. Let's go down the list. So you were at St. Pete.
Yep.
The race after that was Thermal.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think either of us were at Thermal.
Nope.
Then it was Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Wasn't at Long Beach. I'll be at Long Beach next year. I'm making damn sure I'm at Long Beach.
We're going to all of them next year. Who's ready to invest, Greek fan?
After Long Beach, it was Barber.
Yep.
Which you were at?
No.
Were you at Barber?
No. Nope.
Oh, look at me
go.
being tardy. I was not at the first 4 IndyCar races. By the way, I went to an IMSA race in between then. Indy GP, we were both there.
Yep.
Indy, I don't know about the Indy. Were we at the Indy 500?
Everything else, the rest of the year besides Portland, we had some sort of representation at.
Yeah. Although the first part of the year we were slacking.
I'm excited for the weekend. Milwaukee's always a fun weekend. I'm with you. I wish this was 2 races. This is a track that I went to for the first time when I was a kid in 1992. Always loved Milwaukee.
That was the fall race. The fall race, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I remember having to go to school the next day, so I don't know exactly when it was, but
I know what the lore was. So Milwaukee has always kind of had like an off and on, like hot and cold relationship of whether that race is gonna. It's always been that way. And that was a year where, like, I think CART had a dispute with the management company of the Milwaukee Mile. They kind of felt like the facility was in disrepair, so they were actually left off of the calendar and joined it really late. And actually, those of you who hate the fact that Detroit's the first race after Indy, you should hate CART because 1992 is the first year that Detroit was after Indy, and so it was. And I don't say this lightly because I believe it or not, when I hit puberty, I realized CART was actually pretty cool. But this is the one we can blame CART for 100%, the fact that Detroit's after Milwaukee. Or Detroit's after Indy, not Milwaukee.
Always fun to go up there. We had a great time last year. We'll probably try to take in a Brewers game. There's always something going on. Oval racing, short track oval racing is always good for IndyCar. Any oval is good. It looks like there are a lot of tickets that have been sold. I'm expecting a pretty good crowd. I know Kyle might have a little bit more insight on this, but it depends on how many tickets Snap-on, the title sponsor, was given. If they were given 3 or 4 sections, then maybe it's not as good as what it looks like. But as of right now, it looks like we're going to have a really good crowd coming up on Saturday. I know it's college football week 0, but nothing much going on Sunday. Maybe a couple boring NFL preseason games with the 3rd and 4th stringers. But I'm excited for the weekend. There's a lot. I'm credentialed, few. We'll talk about that maybe off the record sometime on the way up. But Kyle, I know you're ready to go up here as well, and it should be a fun weekend from the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds.
Yeah, this is my first time, actually. You guys got to go last. I think David's first time was last year, right?
Yeah.
Or did
Yeah.
you
There
go
was the
before
first time. No,
Yeah.
I just simped it like I had been there, but I hadn't been there until last year. So yeah.
Yeah.
It was
No,
great.
this is my first time. Very excited. We are going to the Brewers game on Friday. Very excited for that. Baseball.
I can't wait to score it.
I don't really have much insight on the Snap-on tickets, but I can tell you that I have some. I got some.
Well,
Nothing wrong with that.
There you go. Hey, that means they're going to count you twice.
Yep.
They're going to count you as the credentialed media member, and they're also going to count you as a Snap-on ticket.
Uh-huh.
So when you look at the number that comes out when Adam Stern posts it, just subtract one bonus Kyle out of there.
Yeah, man.
Shout out Adam Stern. We like him a great deal.
Oh, we do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stern bomb.
So 2 races left. The championship is wrapped up. Unless you want to really go, I'm going to ask Alex Palou this weekend. I said, this is about as perfect of a season, best season that we can have. But he's still 1 point behind Pato Award if there was still an AJ Foyt Oval Trophy.
Should we just make that a thing? Should we just pretend like it's a thing and then
I've got a little AJ Foyt diecast. We can make a little fake trophy and give it to whoever has the between Pato and Palou at the
David,
end of
it. Yeah, let's say get the shitty Joseph trophy. There we go.
There we go. We'll
Joseph, you want your trophy back? I told you I'd give it to you. You still haven't taken it.
We'll put AJ Foyt's car on top of that, and we'll present it to either Pato or Alex Palou, whoever has the most season-long oval points when we finish up at Nashville next Sunday already. So a lot to talk about that. We get to see the All-American rejects again. Great, cool. As Kyle mentioned, I think it's 2005 all over again. I'm gonna go into Hollister. I'm gonna buy a puka shell necklace. I'm gonna wear some cologne. Hey, I've got a band for you. I don't think they exist anymore, but here's a band that could play. The Zibs. Whatever happened to Colton Herta's band? Can we get the Zibs to play?
At least in a bar, right?
If it's 2007, that means the Colts are good, right?
No.
Oh. I can still I can go to a champ car race? All right. I can't wait to be the only. It'll feel like Iowa. No,
if you said to David Land, hey, you can either skip forward right now to 2027 or you can go back to 2007. That dude's going back to 2007 100 out of 100 times.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that I would probably do differently. Number one, but yeah, no, I mean, like Cleveland, the Cleveland Grand Prix was still happening, and IndyCar was racing at Michigan, and Milwaukee.
Man, I'll tell you what.
And there were turbocharged V8s in IndyCar racing. It was the last year for it, but hey, it was still
happening. Talk about, you and I go back and forth because I'm an IRL kid or whatever.
I'm an IRL kid too, to be fair.
But from where I grew up on the South Shores of Lake Michigan, it was 2 hours to Michigan, 2 hours to Milwaukee, 45 minutes to Chicagoland. Kentucky was a day trip. I mean, it was flipping awesome. We went to Michigan every year. Always rained in Michigan. Went to Milwaukee every year. I remember going to Milwaukee. I just graduated high school in 2007, ironically enough. I think Tony Kanaan won that. And I was writing for Thomas Schechter's website, and so he got his credentials. And I didn't really know, the media stuff. I didn't really know anything. I just knew that once I got home, I had to type up whatever Thomas did that day and have it posted to the website by Monday morning. So my buddies and I just drive up there, had an infield parking pass, and we just stood on the back straightaway in the back of my car and just watched the race. It was awesome. It was great. Those are simpler times for sure back in 2007. So before we get into Portnoy, All-American rejects, Bobby Portis this weekend up at the Milwaukee Mile, let's talk about the race. Last year, doubleheader, your winner, Scott McLaughlin, Pato Award. The odds have actually already came out. Can anybody stop Pato Award and the oval prowess that he has been on? I think he's got an average finish of 5th place over his last 8 ovals. Santino Ferrucci, very good there last year, a pair of 4th place finishes in the doubleheader. Scott Dixon has been racing there for a very long time, as we know, even dating back to the mid-2000s. Who do you guys have your eyes on coming up this weekend for the Snap-on 250?
Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph McLaughlin. I actually went back and watched last year's race 1 today, and without Joseph getting into Ericsson and McLaughlin was fast all day, I think Penske is going to pick up where they left off at Portland. I think Power, McLaughlin, and Newgarden are going to be very, very strong. I actually picked up Newgarden on my fantasy team because I fell back to 5th in the Unverified League. I was leading the entire season until the final 2 races. But I picked up Newgarden because he's like so cheap right now, and I think these next 2 races he's actually going to be really strong.
A lot of people forget that we had this the race 2. We had that thing, lock, stock, and barrel given to Joseph before the green flag even came out, and he got wrecked coming to the green. So I think that I would be very surprised if Joseph isn't extremely strong. And you remember back to Iowa, obviously. Well, Gateway, too. Gateway, he was leading the race convincingly when he got flipped over. Iowa, same, not quite the same thing, but I think he was dominant at Iowa. Should have probably won one, if not both of the races, and didn't. He's got a chip on his shoulder, as we know. And, Joseph, obviously, with 2 races left, I think not only a win at Milwaukee would be important for him, but I think a win at Nashville would just completely fix a lot of what's ailing him right now.
I saw a lot of the comments right now immediately. Little Dave, of course.
Yes.
Short oval. Yeah. How do we feel he's going to do this week? And I will tell you, he's probably going to qualify well, but how's he going to do in the race?
Top 5.
Yeah, I was going to mention there's, you've got your Pelots, you've got your Patos, you've got your McLaughlin and your Josephs, and I guess you could probably put Will Power in there too. But then there's Kyle Kirkwood, who has an oval win now. There's Colton Herta, who won last year at Nashville. There's Santino Ferrucci, who had a pair of top 4s. David Malukas, who's always in the hunt at ovals. Connor Daly is kind of everybody's dark horse underdog pick to possibly get it done. I think David Malukas will be right there. What have we talked about? We talked about this last week. And if Will Power does indeed move on from Penske and Joseph Newgarden and Scott McLaughlin stay, then you would bring in David Malukas, right? McLaughlin has won championships for Penske in another series before. Joseph Newgarden had won poles, had victories with that Carpenter Racing / Sarah Fish Hartman Racing, whatever it was. David Malukas, what have we talked about? Can you put a race together? Yes, he was runner-up at the 500 this year after Marcus Ericsson was disqualified. Can this guy put a weekend together and prove that he can win a race? There's no better chance to do it here than these final 2 weeks. And I think Milwaukee is his best chance. I do think we'll see him, Santino. I hope the bullpen on Friday consists of Malukas, Santino Ferrucci, Christian Rasmussen, and Connor Daly. Yeah, there's maybe still a little bit of a rival between Connor and Christian, but those are the 4 drivers that we know are going to go hide, wide, and handsome early and make that outside groove hopefully work early and often come Sunday.
Yeah, and that's actually a point that I want to bring up about the High Line is that I don't think it's going to be as much of an issue at Milwaukee because Milwaukee is such a handling track, and you do kind of have to I don't want to say like the NASCAR thing, but you do kind of have to do the NASCAR thing, which is kind of search around for the fast groove, and it changes throughout the race. And also with the lap traffic, that's going to be a big factor. But one of the things that I kind of thought about and considered is the fact that this is not a doubleheader weekend. We only have 2 days of on-track activity instead of 3. I wonder when the track will rubber in, especially that High Line, how quickly it will rubber in, when it will rubber in, and when it will be really, really, useful, not so much in lap traffic, but in, passing a car of similar speed to you. That's something I kind of want to ask some of the drivers throughout this weekend is to try to understand and figure out exactly what that track's going to do with way less run. Think about this, guys. We had 500 miles of racing action last year just in the races at Milwaukee last year. That's not counting practice, qualifying, or highline practice. So, I think that would be my one concern about the racing product would be just about when and where the rubber's going down on the racetrack and how quickly throughout that first and only 250 laps that we're going to get, when the track kind of comes in where we get multiple grooves.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Going through the chat here, people are asking, since Marcus Ericsson is struggling at a top 5 at the second race last year, do you guys think that speaks volumes to the fact that the 28 team is bad, or was Grosjean actually better than we thought? Something else to bring up, I have a one-on-one with him coming up this weekend. Marcus Armstrong, podium last time out on an oval at Iowa. He could play a factor going for his first win this weekend. But yes, he has been extended at Meyer Shank. I thought that was much deserved. This is a driver that has, I think, elevated that program, as has the connection and the partnership with Chip Ganassi Racing. I think they have 19 total top 10s this year, including Elio's 10th place finish at the Indianapolis 500. That's the most in a season for Meyer Shank. I think they only had 20. I think they only have 28 total. So that shows you just how good of a season they're having. So a couple things from the chat there. I don't think Marcus Ericsson forgot how to drive. I just think there's some things going on that is stunting what they could be doing. And again, we haven't really seen that 2018 perform really since Ryan Hunter-Reay left. And even he struggled at times in his final year or two with Andretti.
I was shocked that there was even a question that Marcus Armstrong wasn't coming back to Shank next year. I was like, what? Have we not seen? I mean, his performances have been on par and in a lot of ways better than what they were when he was driving for Ganassi. So I think they definitely made the right move at Meyer Shank. No doubt in my mind. I think Marcus Armstrong absolutely deserves a seat next year. And again, kind of surprised that there was even a question in the first place. Marcus Ericsson, I mean, Tony, I think you and I have both heard that it sounds like things are heading in a positive direction, at least for next year, with Marcus staying at Andretti. So I don't know. Is the 28 car bad? Hard to say. Andretti really hasn't been the team that we remember them being, too. I think we have to take that into consideration. And I think you also have to think about this, too, is that where would Colton or Kyle be if they were driving for a Ganassi for a year or two or a Penske for a year or two? Like, are they just driving, above what their cars are capable of right now? That would be the other question I would have. And also, we know this about Marcus Ericsson. This is not a surprise with Marcus Ericsson. How many years did it take him to start winning races at Ganassi? I believe it was 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, or at least around that time. So are we really surprised that he goes to a new team and he's a slow starter? Not really. But, if this year wasn't the year that showed us, what Marcus is going to be able to do in that car, if he gets a third year, then I would expect that he would be at least performing on the level that Colton and Kyle are, and that would probably equal a win or two next year. That would be the expectation. We have all these sorts of questions about, whether or not Marcus is the long-term solution for the 28 car. I don't believe that he is. And who might end up in that car or what Andretti will look like in a couple of years. But yeah, I to your point, Tony, I don't think Marcus Ericsson forgot how to drive. This just kind of is who he is. And as time goes on, I definitely don't think it was the right decision for him to leave Ganassi. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion.
Well, and I'll say this, and I've said it to you. I mean, you don't willingly take yourself out of a Ganassi or a Penske car. Marcus felt that he deserved to be paid for his services, and by the time Ganassi came back around to say, "Yeah, we'll pay you for your services," it was too late. He had already signed with Andretti. Now he still has a great relationship with everybody over at Chip Ganassi Racing. It has been a mixed bag of results for Andretti over the last year and a half, I'd say. Yeah, everybody points to Kyle Kirkwood, and he was the only driver there for a while that had won a race outside of Palou, and he won on the street courses. And he backed it up with a win at Gateway. But it's kind of been a dismal summer, I would say, overall for Andretti Global since really Gateway. I mean, this is Colton Hurd has had his roller coasters. We always kind of wait for his pit crew or something to happen. It seems like Marcus Ericsson has a really good Friday at a racetrack, and then Saturday they take a step back, or he has a really bad Friday, and Saturday they take a big step. Like, Marcus has not been able with that team, that 28 team, to put a full weekend together. Milwaukee is a place I think you can do that. You've got an extended practice. You've obviously have that highline practice. You've got to qualify up front. He was fast last year. He was kind of on that strategy with Joseph to steal a podium before the crash, ultimately finished fifth on Sunday. To the next point of that, and this is something that we've heard. I wouldn't say it's anything official, despite what Benny Parsons tweeted. It looks like Andretti Global is going to run back next year what they have right now. Dennis Hogger is on the verge of winning the Indy Next Championship, which obviously puts him into the IndyCar series next year for at least 3 races and a test. Where do you think, David, we stand on the assumed to be Indy Next champion and where he lands in 2026? There have been rumors that you and I learned about last year that we've discussed of, does Andretti ultimately go to Chevy, which would make some sense, obviously, with the Cadillac program. Would that maybe tie in something with a Juncos? Is that where ultimately Dennis Hauger ends up? Does Kyle Collette, who's more than likely going to finish second in the championship, does he wind up on a team next year if he can find funding? Let's talk about the 2 drivers in Indy Next that aren't going to come back next year and run 2026 in the Indy Next series.
Well, I think I said it on the show last week, and now we've got rumors on Twitter. Well, I don't know where the hell that came from, by the way. It was just so oddly specific, and it also lined up with things that I'd heard, which kind of gaslit me into going, wait a second, am I being lied to? But I don't think I've been lied to. I said on the show last week, I think Dennis Hauger's going to Juncos. I do believe there's going to be an Andretti connection there. We'll see exactly how much of a connection, whether it's just like putting a driver on a shelf like they did with Kyle Kirkwood at Foyt, or whether it's a little bit more involved with maybe a technical alliance or something like that. I mean, obviously you mentioned the potentiality of them going to Chevy. That has been a persistent rumor for, the last 2 years. That doesn't mean it's going to happen next year. And I don't think it will happen next year. I think the big thing, and honestly, to go into, kind of that discussion you had about Marcus Ericsson, and I'll kind of get back to that point here in a second. But I think with all the uncertainty, particularly around the engine manufacturers and who will not be here post 2026, no one is going to willingly switch engines at this point. It's just not going to happen until contracts are signed, sealed, and delivered. That there is a long-term future where there is engine competition and there is a reason to be aligned with a manufacturer. If you have a deal, you are not going to give up that deal. And that would be the problem that Andretti would be running into, is not only do they have a deal with Honda right now, but they also have a deal with Chevy through General Motors on the Cadillac side. So, you don't want to jeopardize either of those things by rocking the boat too much in IndyCar, especially, again, with the contracts not signed. So, to that point, it's another point I wanted to make about the thing that you said, Tony, about Marcus Ericsson, which is you never want to take yourself willingly out of a Ganassi car. We live in an era in IndyCar racing where, if you think back to many of the big team and driver changes, it was a lot more in the past, like Formula One, where because the technical regulations would change and would flow and you'd have different chassis or different engine formulas or whatever, different tires, development, you would see teams kind of take big steps forward or big steps back. And, drivers would have to kind of, on the driver market, make the decision to place themselves in the right team at the right time and be at a winning team. You think about Andre Ribeiro going to Penske in 1998. Well, if he'd gone to Penske in 2000, he probably wins the championship. It's one of those things where you think about, it would be such a big swing. Michael Andretti went to Ganassi at exactly the right time, and actually Michael probably should have stayed at Ganassi post 1994, and he probably would have won a bunch more championships, right? So that's not what it is now. That's not what IndyCar is. We have a very hierarchical system. I almost said that right, where Penske and Ganassi, and I would honestly argue right now, it's Ganassi and McLaren are the 2 biggest teams that you want to be aligned with at your respective engine manufacturer. Then you go Andretti, Penske, and you go down the line. And it doesn't really change all that much year to year. Yes, you can get a Renus VK at a Dale Coyne where suddenly there's a huge performance jump. But still, Renus isn't a championship contender just because he went to Dale Coyne Racing. He's a top 10 contender, an occasional podium contender. You don't really see those big swings. We're not going to get into next year and suddenly say, oh my God, Ganassi is just way off. They have missed it. Alex Palou's fighting for 15th now. We're just not, and we're also not going to go, holy smokes, Dennis Hauger is going to win the championship for Juncos. It's not going to happen. These teams are kind of where they are. And when you are driving for a certain team, there is a certain it almost is more like Formula One than it was in the kart days because we know who the haves are and who the have-nots are. So in a really long-winded way of saying things, especially right now with the uncertainty, not only on the engine manufacturer side, but with the certainty of knowing the performance of each team relative to each other, I don't know if we're going to see as much movement and change as maybe we're predicting. But then again, you never know. This is IndyCar racing, and part of the reason why we like it is that it's wacky and silly sometimes.
Well, I think the rides that we're going to be discussing that come open or that move around, really, besides the Penske ride in the 12, which is more than likely going to be David Malukas, and I would say it right now. 2 races left in the season. I'd be confident saying we're going to see a bounce back from Penske next year, even with David Malukas coming to the team for the first year. And really, if you go back to last year and you look at, okay, could this guy go here and where is this driver going to end up? What were we really talking about? It was Lundgaard going to McLaren, which has worked out. Has he won a race? No. Would he be a championship contender if Alex Palou didn't wax the field? Yes. I think it's been a very great year for Christian Lundgaard. This year, we're going to be talking about where does Will Power end up? Okay, if he goes to Ray Hall, let's say he finds himself in the 30 car, then it's like, okay, well, everything else is going to stand pat besides what does Juncos do? Is that Dennis Hogger and the money that he gets from the Indy Next Championship? Does that keep Stingray Robb there, knowing that they probably, Brad Hollinger still wants to make some money and still wants to be a part of a team that is making money? Does that mean Connor's out of a ride? And does that mean Connor winds up having to search for a full-time ride or for an Indianapolis 500 ride? Because like you said, David, I just don't see a lot of rides being open. We mentioned Kyle Collette at the beginning of this. Does he maybe end up in the 51? Possibly. But again, I don't think we're talking about top-tier rides being open once you slide in David Malukas to the 12. I don't think Christian Rasmussen is leaving the 21 car. I think Rena stays put. And ultimately, I think we talk here in about 2 to 3 months and say, or maybe in October when we get to the Indianapolis 500 test at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we say, it was kind of a boring, silly season. There wasn't really much going on. And I think probably the most exciting thing and the most, what we're going to be chasing the most is who's going to be that driver that tests the McLaren car that could ultimately be the 4th car at next year's Indianapolis 500.
I have a very strong ask for anybody at IndyCar who has the power to do this. I beg of you, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Please do not schedule. If you've scheduled it, just push it back or forward a week. Please do not schedule the Indy 500 test on Petit Le Mans weekend. Please and thank you and amen. So there's a few things there. I think one of the things about Dennis Hauger that a lot of people kind of forget is that he was an F2. So you don't get to F2 without money behind you. So I don't think, even if he wins the Indy Next Championship, I might have said Indy Lights at some point during this program, but if he wins Indy Next, it's not just that he has that money. I think he's got a little bit more backing that will be able to get him over the threshold for the full season. I don't think that's a concern. And on the subject of Connor, I should say, shout out to my brother, who's an avid listener, not only of this show, but of Speed Street. And he mentioned that Connor said he had one of the worst weeks of his life last week in Portland. And it was not just because he and Christian Rasmussen ran into each other. So if we're reading between the lines, that almost sounds like he got bad news. Again, I'm reading between the lines of something that was said on a podcast probably an hour into it that only my brother was listening to, right? So that's unfair. A lot of other people, Adam Lance.
People listen to Connor on that show. People like to hear from Connor.
I love to hear from Connor. I didn't say people don't love to hear, but my brother has the media literacy to read between the lines and say, David needs to hear this. And so he relayed that information to me. And I said, you know what? Oh, that lines up with some things that I've heard, which I don't like. And honestly, like Connor, well, here you go. And I hope Connor's at the bullpens. We don't know if Connor's going to be at the bullpen yet. I certainly hope he is. Because the big thing about Connor that I want to kind of find out, or maybe ask him, is that does he find himself in the exact same position here at Milwaukee that he found himself in last year, where essentially he's racing for his career again, which seems just ridiculous, quite honestly. And like, I get that Connor has not won a race, and that's going to be the the chip on his shoulder that he's going to carry for a while until he wins one. But he does. We talk about drivers who raise the profile of their teams. I think Connor is one of those drivers. You look at the performance of Juncos last year, and if you compare him directly to Agustin Canapino or Romain Grosjean, who we were just talking about, positively at the 28, it's pretty obvious that Connor has elevated the performance of the Juncos team this year. So is it deserved that he's out of a ride potentially right now? No. But that's how this goes. And, even if he performs this weekend, let's say he wins a race, right? To your point, Tony, where does he go? Like, what seats are available to him that are not Dreyer Reinbold?
My thoughts on Connor are this, and there's some people on Twitter that will pull up the stats and will let that Connor doesn't have the best record of drivers with 100 starts. I'm with you. Connor Daly is a driver that elevates the team that he's on, more specifically on ovals. He was great at the 500 this year. He's been great at the 500 this year. I was sitting there at Gateway going, all right, him and Pato are battling. He's got a chance to win this race, but we're kind of just waiting for something to happen, whether it's in the pits or for him to fall off during a stint. Podium here last year. You and I saw him the night before, Saturday night. He was very, very – I think he podiumed. Was that race one?
No, it was before he podiumed, so he was pretty down in the dumps.
Yeah, he was pissed off. I think that was Friday. And then the next day he comes back in podiums. I think he had a DNF the next on race 2. So what I'll say about this with Connor Daly is there better talent out there that could take a seat? Yes. Is there better talent out there that gives you a chance to win on ovals? Probably not. And I'll say this about Connor. And I do believe IndyCar is a major team sport. I think everybody would agree with me on that. There have been times in Connor's career that he has not had the best teammate. You can go back to Andretti and say, yeah. You can go back to Ed Carpenter Racing. Renus, I think, was a good teammate. Unfortunately, I don't think those cars were anywhere near the capability of what Renus and Connor could drive them. I think Ed Carpenter Racing has taken a step up this year. Connor has been a journeyman, as we know. He doesn't wreck a lot of race cars. But unfortunately, you get to a point where if you're not bringing any money and the results simply consistently are not there, you're going to find yourself on the outside looking in. And unfortunately, that seems to be the path for like the 4th time in his career that we're going down with Connor.
Yep. Well, I mean, and you mentioned Andretti where he had good teammates. He ran 2 races for Andretti? Right? Did he run I think it was the GP and the Indy 500. So that's not even really a fair shake at it.
Yeah. I
mean, you go back to Foyt, and I would argue that he outperformed Munoz at Foyt. And that was probably, God, he really hasn't had that great of teammates. You're right. That's tough. I'm going through it. I'm just going like, man.
And I think, and this is nothing against Stingray Robb. This is nothing against anybody who's been a teammate. I mean, look, I think the only seat that Connor's not been in, technically, is a Ganassi and a Penske. He hasn't had the best teammates. Now, here's what I would like to see, and I don't know if it's going to happen, and I don't know what the relationship is. This is totally out of left field, and I'll admit this is Tony throwing something up against the wall.
Here we go.
But I wouldn't mind Connor landing in the 51 and seeing what him and Renus can do with Dale Coyne Racing. I think that's a pretty damn good team. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But, man, I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even considered that. I mean, I just assumed, because I've heard so much about there's like 3 cars that everybody's talking about that are, for sale. It's the 2 Premas and the 51 car, and everybody's trying to buy in or buy this and buy that. You kind of get tired of hearing that because is anyone actually going to do it? Who knows? But thinking about that just from the perspective of, we obviously know Rinus and Connor like each other. They get along. You think about the engineering talent there with Michael Cannon. We think about the relationship. I believe Connor did race at Coyne with Michael Cannon as the engineer. So, man, I don't hate that. I really don't hate that.
It's a stretch. There'd obviously have to be a buyer, a major sponsor, something coming back for that to more than likely happen. You think about it's been a rocky road on the oval, especially at Indy for Coyne this year. You add a guy like Connor Daly that can, as you mentioned, complement Rinus VK and maybe move that forward, even if it's for a year. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's probably a stretch, and obviously it's all about dollar bills, y'all. But Connor and Rinus, I think, would elevate that team more than I think anybody else that you put in that 51 car right now.
Yeah, at least for right now. I mean, it all depends. Because I think, like you said, if the money suddenly appears and you can get Rinus a teammate, that could be a really potent, driver lineup. But I don't know. I can't stop thinking about that. That is a consideration that I just never thought of. Okay, let me ask this: if Connor is at the 51 car and Rinus is in the 18, are they any better at the 8500? Are we talking Connor and Rinus still last row shootout?
It depends on if money comes in and money's paid on time.
No comment. That's interesting.
You asked.
I asked a 3-letter word actually about that. No, that would be, that's why it won't happen. Rinus' sponsor. That's why Connor at Coyne won't happen.
I think the reason that they would be quicker at Indy this year, by the way, would be because they didn't have Michael Cannon at Indy last year. And now
that's a great point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, oh God, we're going to do the thing that everybody hates that we do. I promise, give us 4 minutes here. Give me 4 minutes. Just, I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it.
Give him 4 minutes.
Give me 4 minutes because I need to ask this question and we're going to have a discussion about it. Is
that what your Bumble says?
Brother, if you think I'm on a dating site where women choose me, boy, have you?
Well, I have the full confidence in you when it comes to that. But here's your 4 minutes.
Wow, everybody's catching strays tonight. Hey, if Dale Coyne Racing suddenly became the Giga Chads on the ovals, and those cars are, let's say, top 15 in qualifying, who's the bottom 4 next year? Who are we sending home? Who's going home?
Everybody does hate when we do this.
And why is it Marco?
Well, because that's who I always pick to go home.
It's Marco. It's Graham.
It's whoever wrecks.
Yeah,
whoever's in the 4th Rahal car that's not
one
named
random
Takuma
driver
Sato.
that crashes throughout the week.
And Valentino Rossi, right?
No, I think he's got plenty of speed to get that thing in there.
Don, you better hope that Devlin has a seat, period, next year, buddy. He might not be in the fight, even attempting to qualify next year.
I think tomorrow's the anniversary of when Marco blocked me, speaking of.
You have that marked down? You know what?
Well, it was the day of the 2020 500.
Oh.
Okay, that may, what, context is key, folks, especially in tweets and Twitter. And that's hilarious now that I know what tweet it was, when he probably saw it, and when he blocked you. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We were just, man. Can we talk about something completely different now? I'm sorry. That was my Indy 500.
All right, boys. Dave Portnoy, how do we feel about it?
Oh, I didn't want to talk about that.
My initial tweet was yikes because I knew that was going to majorly split the audience inside of IndyCar. You're going to have
right. You were just trying to get your Bumble likes up.
Yeah,
I see you. I see right through that.
No Bumble.
He's just hoping
guy.
Every girl at Milwaukee goes, Tony, that was so brave. That was so brave of you to say that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, maybe I'll go to a tweet up or something there on Sunday morning. Look, again, Kyle, as you pointed out, he's got a following, but I think the people that think that, Barstool Sports is going to blow up IndyCar and Barstool Sports is going to sponsor a race and a car, it's not going to happen, okay? And Kyle, I think you made the point, like they're probably not even going to pay him enough to even like send a tweet or an Instagram post out about it, which I hope he does. I hope he thinks it's badass. He's been in the Indianapolis 500 before. It's good. It's a lot better than bringing All-American rejects in, which will be cool, I guess.
This ain't a Cenas and Arms race. Oh, no, is that Fallout Boy?
That's Fallout Boy.
Damn it.
Yeah. So if it's done properly and Portnoy comes in and we'll mention it, and I think he's got a Fox Sports show, and you get some play and you get some run off of it, great. But if it's just somebody else in a two-seater that once he parks it, he's up having a drink in one of the suites and he never talks about IndyCar again or doesn't tweet about it going into the weekend, hey, I'm going to be on Fox 3:00 on Sunday in the two-seater. Check it out. If that doesn't happen, it's all for naught.
Well, no, go for it, Kyle.
It's a net positive. I mean, he's not the most famous person that's been in the two-seater this year. I think probably A-Rod takes that cake. But what did A-Rod do for the sport by being in the two-seater? Didn't do jack shit. So what I think why this is kind of positive, and he's done the 500 before. And in fact, most of his Indianapolis pizza reviews are pretty funny because you can hear the cars going around the speedway in the background, and he points it out in every single one that they're there for the 500. But I think it's a bit different this time because of the Fox relationship with IndyCar, and of course, who are the two things that Fox just bought into? Barstool and IndyCar. Shocking. We've seen what they've come in and have done with NASCAR and partnerships, and none of that has really taken off. But I mean, look, if we can make an impression and Dave can actually come in here and give a shit, which is unlikely, if we had any Barstool presence in IndyCar throughout the races, that's good for the sport. That's positive. No matter how you feel about Dave Portnoy and Barstool itself, and I get it splits the audience. I get a lot of people don't like it, but in attracting everyone and a younger audience, I think having that presence at least is better. Same goes for like Pat McAfee and those type of media.
I think we forgot that Tom Brady was in the two-seater, which you want to talk about splitting an audience at the 500 this year.
There was no audience split. There was a very, very solid decision on Tom Brady. Everybody was booing him where I was in turn 3. Actually, I've got it on video. It's pretty hilarious. And I think Tom owned it and Tom enjoyed himself. And I think, we talk about a net positive, whether you hate the guy or not for what he did as an NFL player, it was still pub that IndyCar needs, and IndyCar needs pub. And I'm guilty of this too. I bitch about, it's just another soccer player or swimmer or somebody we never heard of in a two-seater, or the guitarist from All American Rejects. That 7th band that you heard when you went to a fest back in 2005. If it's done right and he goes and has a good time and he posts about it and he gets people to watch, I'm all about it. Don't have to like it. Don't have to be involved in it if you don't want to. If you're a fan and you don't want to interact or see that, it'll be over by lap 1 anyway. It'll be one lap. Everybody knows the rules, and we'll be all good. All right.
We're talking about it.
But
people on Twitter are talking about it. If we would have put some random dude from All American Rejects in the two-seater, nobody would have talked about it.
Nope.
Okay. Here's I've got a couple of thoughts on Portnoy. The thing that I want to point out is Ali's comment about the bad PR with Portnoy from the perspective of women. I am not a woman, so I can't necessarily comment on this, but Allie is commenting on it. So here's the deal. Like, I think we all know that that's a thing. That's something that comes with Dave Portnoy, right? And again, I don't really know the ins and outs of what he's been accused of and what he hasn't been accused of, what's legit, what's not. I don't know that. To be honest, that's an ignorance on my part. But some of the discourse around this has been really stupid, because if that's the problem, which is a big problem, the discourse has not been zeroing in on he makes women uncomfortable. We have genius level takes like Greg Doyle saying the right wing is taking over IndyCar, which is one of the most stupid brain dead takes I've ever seen in my entire life. I get that it's clickbait. I get that he's trying to get clicks. He's a outrage merchant. We know this about Greg Doyle. That's not a surprise. But I think it is really hurtful if you're going to try to actually have a discussion about real issues and try to actually, decide whether or not we want Dave Portnoy associated with IndyCar, to take the discussion and take the argument right to the lowest common denominator, right to the most tribalistic thing where no one's ever going to find any common ground and just make everybody hate each other. I think that is completely the wrong way of going about any kind of a discussion about any kind of a sensitive issue, because I just think it completely makes everybody stupid and brain dead and just sorry, that's a rant for me. I'm tired of seeing these really very not very smart, not very well thought out takes, whether they're in the media or whether they're on Twitter. Think about the issue, consider the issue, create an opinion, and then give it if you're going to give an opinion. But don't just say, well, IndyCar's right wing now. And it's like, well, Roger Penske is, but that's even a subtle discussion in and of itself. So I don't know. That's one side of it. The other side of it, to your guys' point, is that I look at it from a purely hands-off business perspective. And I am a business, my business is on social media in racing, particularly. But more broadly speaking, I am a sports yak guy on the internet, right? My sport just happens to be auto racing. And so I look at it from this perspective of purely cold businessman. I say absolutely positive for someone like me to have Dave Portnoy, with the caveat saying that Dave Portnoy and Barstool actually get involved at a higher level past just Dave Portnoy gets in the two-seater at Nashville and we never see or hear from him again.
But that's what's going to happen. 100% that's what's going to happen.
Okay, I'm aware of that. And that's what I'm kind of frustrated about, is that, okay, well, Fox bought into Barstool and therefore they have access to Dave Portnoy. They also bought an IndyCar. If there isn't a Barstool IndyCar collaboration, then what are we doing? Past this, obviously. If there isn't a show, if there isn't a correspondent on Barstool talking kind of regularly about IndyCar, missed opportunity. If this is something that grows IndyCar in a media demo, and if you can say what you want, but I know how important the 25 to 35-year-old male demographic is. I happen to be one of them. And, I think it's a very important discussion to be had. And I think IndyCar and the media companies that are coming in now to IndyCar are doing a great job of expanding the reach of IndyCar past just the 25 to 35-year-old male demographic. But you don't want to just get rid or run off or not have anything for the 25 to 35-year-old male demographic. It's still super important. So as long as it's balanced, as long as you have a Barstool and you have something else for everybody else, I don't necessarily see a problem with that. Again, the discussion of Dave Portnoy himself needs to have a lot more subtlety, a lot more nuance, a lot more thought put into it than people are currently doing. And that's what frustrates me about the reactionary stuff on Twitter, is that we're not really discussing the issue. We're discussing a person, putting a label on that person, and then just saying, okay, I've labeled that person. I never have to think about it again. He's just bad. It's wrong.
I look at it like this: they're always going to have the hardcore male audience, right? And then people like you and me who are in that 25 to 35, although I'm 36. The next generation, Kyle's age, is this somebody in Dave Portnoy that is going to get that younger 18 to 25 crowd involved? Very possible that he does. Are you going to probably piss off your female clientele with this? More than likely. Here's my biggest thing with it. Even if he is tweeting about it and mentions it on his show, the average person is going to say, oh, that's cool. When can I watch the next IndyCar race? And they're going to have to say, I don't know, probably sometime in March, 6 months down the road.
I guess we got to get that international calendar going, huh?
Hey, Dave, that was really cool to see you in the two-seater. Let's watch the next IndyCar race. Cool. We'll do it next year.
I don't know why that never even crossed my mind. At least, like, it's the last race of the year. It's like, oh, Dave, that's so cool. When's the next race? 6 months later. Actually, we don't even know because the schedule's not out.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But we'll go watch NASCAR, and we'll talk about that on the Barstool. I think it's what?
By the way, if you like open wheel racing, F1's race until December. Oh, my God.
Dave, what was that? Was that Formula One? Were you in one of those F1 cars? No, it was IndyCar, and they're off until the NCAA tournament starts next year. So, look, it is going to upset the female audience.
Hey, Milwaukee is this week. I can't wait. This is going to be great. All right, sorry.
It's going to be, we're going to eat French toast. We're going to go to the Brewers game. Kyle's going to eat nachos out of a helmet. It's going to be great. Everybody's going to have he's going to have a hot dog every inning. He's going to go 9 for 9. We're going to have to carry him into the bathroom so he can get it all out. And Brewers are going to beat the Giants. It's going to be a good time.
Speaking of schedules, can we talk about the NASCAR schedule? Because there's already some really dumbass takes on Twitter that I'm already mad about.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah, I'm gonna crash out. This is Milwaukee week, damn it. We're supposed to be having a good time, and we're sitting here talking about. Wow, I'm yelling so loud. Somebody, wow. All right, that's Tony's fault.
What?
We talk about the NASCAR schedule.
I'm looking it up.
I've got it right here.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Well, there's two things I want to point out here. Phoenix is March 8th. Daytona is February. Hang on. Daytona 500, February 15th. So IndyCar should be racing the next week, February 22nd, in my opinion. Phoenix, March 8th, which would be the week after St. Pete or 2 weeks after St. Pete, depending on when the schedule would come out. That should be a doubleheader with NASCAR. Watkins Glen moves to May 10th. It's going to be snowing there. That goes up as a clash against the Indy GP. Disaster, or maybe not a disaster, because apparently all the NASCAR fans hated the Watkins Glen race this year. So somebody on Twitter said that IndyCar should do a doubleheader with NASCAR in May in Watkins Glen, New York, which I think is a bizarre take, to say the least. Brickyard 400, July 26th. Again, the IndyCar schedule is not out. Should IndyCar be racing on July 26th? I would say no. No. Gateway moves to September.
That's still a thing. Like, Gateway NASCAR has not happened yet. That's happening in September this year.
Oh, that hasn't happened
yet? I was actually
yet?
going to ask you, like, do you want to go to the Xfinity race or something? Like, we should do that.
Oh.
Yeah,
well, there you go. I forgot that was in the...
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's happening this year. We should do that. We should, yeah.
Okay. Well...
That's not new.
That's not new. David is out of the loop. Then we have one road course in the playoffs, the Charlotte Roval, as usual, which is an elimination race, and Homestead returns as the championship race. So
you're missing the worst. You missed the worst part of the NASCAR schedule, and that's
what did I miss?
All-Star race going to Dover.
I don't give a damn about the All-Star race. What are you talking? Hang on a second.
Yeah, but
it's the damn qualifying week for the Indy 500. I don't give a damn about the All-Star race. They could be racing the All-Star race on the. I'll tell you what. NASCAR could run the All-Star race at the Burke Lakefront Airport, and I still wouldn't give a shit. I don't care. It's the Indy 500 qualifying weekend, damn it. I don't care about Charlotte, and I don't care about the All-Star race. It's in the month of May. Are you kidding me? What are we talking about here?
That's fair.
But anyway, Homestead is the season finale, which means the entire springtime you could have an IndyCar race at Homestead. All right, thank you. That is my TED Talk.
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
The other thing that kind of sucks about the NASCAR schedule is the Richmond night race now falls on the weekend of the Knoxville Nationals, so Kyle Larson's gonna have to, get stick bugged. I guess it's not good.
Well, Kyle Larson's we're not going to have to worry. I mean, I guess you'll have to worry about Kyle Larson's schedule. I don't have to worry about Kyle Larson's schedule ever again.
Yeah.
Because if he does the Indy 500, he ain't going to be in NASCAR anymore. Tony, how do you feel about the NASCAR schedule?
To be honest, I could really care less.
That's a great take.
I'll say this about NASCAR. I don't know when the hell or what the hell channel they're on. The other night they were on USA. The week before that they were on TNT. The Xfinity / O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is on the CW. I have no clue what channel these races are on. It switches. It was on Prime when I tried to watch the Coke 600. Hell, I don't know. Can we get back to talking IndyCar? My God.
Actually, I want to say one more thing. This is something I suppose I should mention. NASCAR. You know how we talk about how IndyCar, number one, IndyCar is like insane in that the schedule is like there are not enough races, and then all of a sudden there's too many races. The NASCAR schedule from February 1st to November 8th has 2 off weekends. One is April 5th, that is for Easter, and the second one is August 2nd after the Brickyard 400. I don't know. You want to talk about crashing out, Kyle? How does anyone work in NASCAR and not crash out? I mean, I've never really thought about it this way, but like, holy God.
No, it's unbelievable.
I'll tell you what I'll do this weekend. On Saturday night, I'm going to bring some beer. We're going to be in Milwaukee. I'm going to get some Spotted Cow. I'll have a beer for every crash we have, so I'll be slammed by lap 75.
You're going to be drunk coming to the track the next day.
It'll be a great time. Yeah, the schedule for this weekend is a little bit too early for our likings up in Milwaukee.
Should be a 3-day show.
But we get a high line practice, we get a final practice, we get qualifying, we get a morning practice up there. Well, if we want to keep talking NASCAR, do we want to talk about what Mamba Smith said, or we just want to leave it at that? It's 8:58.
So the one thing that I want to say about the Mamba Smith take, I mean, like, first of all, I wasn't surprised. Like, that tracks. But, and Mamba seems like a nice guy, but, like, the take tracks. But the notable thing about that was the ratio. Like, I've never ever seen a ratio on a tweet.
Oh, I gotta look this up now.
Yeah, you got to get the tweet up because
this was insane. Like, I agree. Like, the ratio was absolutely insane. Like,
we need to read the tweet because I feel like I'm not providing context here. Essentially, Mamba Smith posted something.
We have a 6-month IndyCar offseason to talk about this. Sorry for bringing it up.
We do, but it's relevant. It is relevant. We're clip farming right now. We're clip farming. Mamba Smith is a former ARCA driver. He is a co-host with Kevin Harvick on Kevin Harvick's Wacky World podcast, or whatever they call that. and he was defending the NASCAR playoffs by saying it shows who the best team is rather than the best driver.
The point isn't to crown the best driver. It's to crown the best team who executed the best when the pressure was at its highest and the lights were the brightest. This tweet, I've never seen a ratio like it. 1.6 million views with 342 likes. That's telling.
And how many replies? Crazy. Look at the number of replies. Was
over 1,000 replies.
I mean, I've never, like, the NASCAR fan base, I've never seen them aligned against something in my life like this, which is shocking because you got playoff defenders to rail against a playoff defender. which I thought in the past was completely. I mean, trust me, boys. I've gone to war. There's a reason I don't go to Charlotte, because I'm banned, because I've been talking crap about the playoffs for 10 years. And that is, I've never seen something like that. It's, and this is a guy in NASCAR media. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious.
He works for NASCAR. Gets paid by NASCAR. Yeah. He's a NASCAR employee.
Well, shout out to Grandpappy's kid for actually winning the race legitimately over the weekend.
I was
grandkid. Good for him.
And shout out to his veneers; those were awesome.
Yeah. A couple things in the chat before we continue on. Let's see. A ratio is when a tweet has more views and it doesn't line up with how many likes or responses that it has to it. We literally have the Owners' Championship, which rewards the best team over the season. Is David actually banned from Charlotte Motor Speedway?
No, not yet anyway.
We can make that happen. It looks like maybe the tweet was deleted.
Did he delete it?
No.
Oh,
no, it's still up.
Maybe you got blocked.
It's still up. Okay.
Did Mamba Smith block Tony? Wait a second.
No, somebody in the chat. I'm just reading the chat.
Oh, okay.
Just reading the chat. All right. So Cops coming up. When are we going to hit Cops this weekend? Now, Cops is a frozen custard place in the Milwaukee area. We're not going to go up there and beat the crap out of Cops. We promise.
Tony Donohue said that, just for the record. Tony Donohue said that. That was not me. That was Tony who said that.
That was David.
I don't know. I think we'll go to that former Kmart that Nigel Mansell signed autographs at in 1994. I think that'll be fun.
No thanks.
Yeah, I think we'll go see some. I think we're gonna go watch a baseball game. I think.
Yeah.
Shout out to my friend Davey from the Netherlands who's coming in for this race. That's gonna be cool. Davey doesn't watch this show. He tried to watch it. He said I don't like talk shows, so he won't see this shout out. But I'm gonna give him a shout out anyway. Well, Nigel was there in '94 too, Steve. But maybe Steve. Actually, Steve would know. Never mind.
Is Kills Donker coming up?
Oh, dude! Of course he's coming up.
Sounds like a Kills Donker race. He's from Wisconsin, isn't he?
He is.
Go up and eat the Rocky Rococos and do all
I didn't have Rockies when I went up to Road America, so we're gonna have to make that right. I gotta go to Rockies.
I think they have it at the ballpark, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, not the same as going into one, but they do have it at the ballpark.
They got Rockies at the ballpark.
I think they do.
Well, then maybe we don't need to show up 5 minutes before the damn opening pitch this time, and we'll actually get in there and, I'll get my scorecard.
Go to
I'll
a
get my
baseball
Rockies.
game.
Oh, wait. You're complaining that we got there late while you spent 3.5 hours in some attic of a diecast store?
The Motorsport Collector in Downers Grove, Illinois, which is a great place, and I enjoy it a lot. And
I'm so going. I don't know when, but I'm so going. Like,
come on up.
It looks like a good place.
All right, boys. Who wins this weekend up in Milwaukee?
Yeah. There's a race. Joseph. And because I said Joseph, he's going to end up doing a barrel roll down the back straightaway. Sorry,
Daly.
Joseph.
Is that where we're watching the start of the race from, the backstretch?
Well, hopefully they don't kick us out of there like they do at Iowa, but you don't have to worry about Iowa anymore, I guess.
Connor Daly wins.
Connor Daly wins. I will get a tattoo of his signature on my back if he
I'm going to crowd surf. I'm going to crowd surf. And Connor probably will too, actually. No, I think if Connor wins,
I'm going to go with Scott McLaughlin.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Scotty Mac. I think he's, and then I think that this time next week, I'll probably take Joseph to win at Nashville. So I'm setting up for a clean sweep the final 3 races from Team Penske.
I want to tell a story from Milwaukee last year. I feel like the statute of limitations has passed on this one. It's a Scott McLaughlin story. Scott, I believe, qualified on the pole for one of the races.
Yeah.
Or maybe he had just won. I don't remember which one it was. And Tony, you and I saw him walking into the media center behind us. We both held the door open for him in a very exaggerated fashion. And he looked at us and he said, "Did you boys bet on me?" And we were like, "Could have. I don't know." So that's my story.
That's
my Scott McLaughlin story.
There's a secondary story that's even better that if you see me in Milwaukee this weekend, I will tell you from down in Barber when I may or may not have gotten Scott McLaughlin into a little trouble about the things that I was tweeting at him and talking to him about. But
it's okay. I got him in trouble in a press conference in Indy this year because he ripped somebody he shouldn't have ripped.
Hell, I think I got him in trouble this week. The damn Cubs website has him throwing out the first pitch at tomorrow's game, and then I posted it on there. Like, that's still pretty cool. I know that his spotter and his engineer are from the state of Wisconsin, and they're Brewers fans. But I was like, oh, obviously there's a Gallagher connection that would make sense. And then I got an email this morning that was like, where'd you see that at? Because that's not happening. I think he's at the game right now in Chicago, but he's not throwing out the first pitch tomorrow. So I apologize for spreading false information that I read straight off of Cubs.com. So
Cubs are unreliable.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
Brewers are one of the best teams in the league right now, and we're going to see them coming up on Saturday. And I'm hoping for the hardcore baseball fans like me that we see Justin Verlander throwing on Friday night for the Giants. We'll have to wait and
Hopefully
see.
Kate Upton comes.
Well, that would be certainly phenomenal. All right.
Don't you make that look at.
Can't wait. Love Milwaukee. Love going to the state of Wisconsin. Kyle and I, Kyle's like fourth trip to the state of Wisconsin. I think my second this year. So
Number 2.
should be a lot of fun.
9 for 9, but instead of innings, it's going to be, we're going to just keep, drinking beers and hot dogs until
Lizzie's, baby.
The schedule. That's what we're doing.
It's glizzy. Well,
road.
last year we went to the game and we ended up sitting next to a couple Team Penske fans and made some friends with them while we were up there. So it should be a lot of fun. If you're up at the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds, be sure to take the Jeffrey Dahmer tour. We're going to take David on that this weekend.
I'm not going on the Jeffrey Dahmer tour.
Should be a lot of fun.
Off about that.
We're going to show him the bars that he hung out with. We're going to
not going to those bars.
Show him his grandma. Yeah, show him his grandma's house. It should be a lot of fun. So if you're up there, say hello. Can't wait for it, boys. Let's have some fun this weekend. 2 more races. Thanks for joining us, per usual, on a Tuesday night. Like and subscribe to Unverified. And we'll talk to you throughout the weekend. David, you've got some major interviews coming up this weekend, as do I. And I believe you do have a DL 500 coming up tomorrow night.
I do. I've got the DL 500 Club coming up. Yes, it's going to be Milwaukee. I can't wait. Like I said, look, where it says my name, my super capacitor is fully charged. We're about to pull that hybrid, and I'm going to get maybe 60 more horsepower. I'm going to be a menace this week.
Are you going to pass tech, or will they just let you slide by anyway?
I can't say that. I'm not going to say that.
How many times?
And that's it for Unverified. We'll talk to you this weekend.
I like that French toast too much.